So far, have you preferred using the demons for ice or for like mixed climbing and dry tooling? What's been your like favorite so far?
It's been ice.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I think for using them, ice has been the better one, but I don't know. They almost perform equally
Really?
on both.
I know I personally um I haven't been in love with them for mixed climbing and dry tooling at this point. My issue that I've been having is that the side points are a little bit long, and when I have a mono on and I'm like trying to get it into a little hole or something, the side points kind of prevent me from actually like fully getting my front point in,
Yeah.
which has been frustrating, has perhaps led to a few tears at the crack. It just, my side point and my other points are so long that it stops me from actually getting into it very far. Like I'm barely even in, and the side points are hitting. At the same time, though, if you're really good at what you're doing, it doesn't really matter. Like you should be able to adapt and overcome such a like small kind of thing like that. But it is something that I have noticed, and for a newer climber, it has been something that's been a little bit of a stressor at times. But I feel like you haven't had the same experience.
No. I mean, but that's like even what you said due to experience. Just, I mean, it even goes back to the whole thing of, well, you can climb ice and just mountaineering crampons that have like the horizontal, like the point. So,
Yeah.
like it's things like that which has made my experience a little bit different. But yeah, you're right. The side points are really long, and it almost feels like the front points should be a little bit longer, but even as is, the front points are really long.
Yeah.
So they're confusing because these crampons from Edelrid are supposed to be their high-end mixed climbing, dry tooling, and ice climbing crampon. They share a lot of kind of same design philosophy as something like the Petzl darts, where they're not like a technical mountaineering crampon where they don't have a ton of points, but they're like lighter, more aggressive. They have like the little jagged points on them. They have the mid points, like a lot of similarities to the darts in that aspect of like they're for performance. They're for performance ice climbing and mixed climbing and dry tooling.
Yeah.
Even to say that they come up with a little short point that's supposed to give better better leverage on rock. I don't know how that would work now, because with that short point, it would almost put everything in line. Like the side points and the front point with the short one would almost be directly in line, which
Not a huge fan.
for dry tooling, you kind of want that one pronounced point to work off of. It's why on comp boots, like you have just one prominent point. Like when you look at comp boots, you don't look at the comp boots being like, these are going to be great for climbing ice. You're like, no, I need these to have one point for the tiniest of edges on rock. So being able to mix climb and dry tool in them, they're quite a bit different from something like the darts. They just, yeah, the side points almost feel like they need to be filed down.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I feel like after a few years, maybe they would be like perfect. But at this point in time, they're really long.
They're really long.
It's to the point where I'm like, you've done more climbing on ice with them than I have. But the kind of logic in my mind is like, okay, well, maybe they would be really good for ice then, because you're going to have more stability from having those side points engage more frequently or faster when you're kicking in. But that isn't exactly how you felt.
Yeah, like it's like a mix of both, where you're right, they do engage really fast. They are more stable in terms of like having the crampon be kind of a level platform. It is worth to note that when I was climbing on ice with them, I was climbing them with a mono. So having, like in that aspect, the side points are great because you are almost consistently having 3 points of contact in the ice. Only problem is that for where the bail is, the front bail, it makes the points feel very far away from the boot. So once they're in the ice and engaged in the ice, they just feel like a couple inches away, and it gives you like a false like sense of security because you feel like you're just so far away from the ice that you can't really feel what's going on. And if you move that front bail forward, it almost makes it to where the toe of the boot and the rubber of the boot are too far forward to where you're not going to be getting those secondary points engaged. So it's just kind of weird. Like again, there almost needs to be like another option for a hole
in between the two that are there,
where they are. Like if there was one in between, I think that'd be the sweet spot to where you'd have the boot be in a great location, so you're not kicking your boot into the ice, but you're also getting secondary point engagement into the ice. Because as of right now, yeah, you can get the secondaries in the ice really good, but they just feel a long ways away from the ice, from your boot to the ice. There's like a bit of a disconnect there, which sounds kind of funny because we're talking about ice climbing, not like rock climbing where you can feel what's underneath your foot, but there's definitely a disconnect with these crampons.
Yeah. I think that like we've been going a lot of back and forth between dry and mixed and ice climbing. And so we've been changing out the front points a lot as well, which has been nice. Also, we've been changing like between our boots with these crampons a lot. So we've had a lot of time adjusting them. And so we've kind of figured out the ease of adjusting them, which is actually like pretty easy.
Yeah.
Someone who hasn't adjusted many crampons in my life, caught onto it pretty quick, and it's been pretty easy, with the exception of like one of the front points that just sometimes doesn't feel like sliding in all the way, and so it takes a little bit of time. But other than that, really easy to go from like monos to doubles, and like very good changing the bar and everything. I think the only odd thing about it is I'm a 39, like that's my boot size, and you can almost see a bit of like a slight heel spur at the end. And so if your boot is smaller, that can't be changed.
No.
And so it's going to be sticking out more and more, which would be unfortunate. And you can move the back bail forward one, which would kind of mitigate that a little bit, but it's a thing if you have smaller boots that you have to be thinking about. Like I would say if you're below like a 37, it might be a bit annoying. You could catch yourself.
Yeah. And even with that being said, like if you have a bigger boot, the crampon's almost too small because this little section right here is just at the forefoot of your boot, and you have just a like wide zone of no points.
Yeah.
So like it's this weird game where are you going to have a heel spur or you not? Or you're just not going to have like walking down in these crampons, like on the approach back, it doesn't feel super secure. Like I feel secure in a lot of other crampons. Those ones felt like I was slipping a little bit more just because I didn't have as many points, but that's also due to just how big of a span it is with my boots. Like there's just that much more space with them.
So you're a 44.
Yeah. So a 44 is almost stretching them out too big, and like there's a lot of empty space and that they don't feel as great. And it's a little bit noticeable, like dry tooling too, that there's that gap of space. You just hit the bar on a lot of things. But
I will say though, like they do have a lot of adjustability to them. Like it was, even though with a slight little heel spur, they fit my boot, and they could fit much smaller boots as well.
Yeah.
And they can fit your boot, and even a boot that was too big for the darts to fit. These were able to do it.
That is pretty nice. I like how much adjustment there is that you get. Basically, the bar that you get is going to work with pretty much every size boot that's on the market, which is super handy. And even from like the adjustment point on the back lever, like
so nice.
You just kind of screw that up and down. It's very similar to BD's crampons, where you just kind of fine tune the adjustment, which for when you're trying to do it fast, like in the field, it's actually pretty helpful. Like with some of Petzl's ones, you have to go back and forth of figuring out what is going to like get the best snap, whereas that one you can kind of adjust on the fly with gloves on.
Yeah.
And just kind of fine tune it. And it is like, it's switching between like your boot fitting for this crampon and my boot fitting for this crampon out in the field. It's pretty fast.
It didn't take long at all. And even like, speaking of fast things that can adjust, the strap that goes around your boot, I love it. It's so easy to just attach. Here, if I do this, you can kind of show it. It's really easy. You can guide it with the little tab there, pull it through, twist it, and then that's it. And it's really easy to just kind of pull and adjust on. It doesn't come off at all. Like, it's super simple, and it's been super nice, especially compared to the darts, because it's just like super quick, easy, no tying anything, nothing. It's just slipping it in, and then you're done. Like, I can do it with my chunky gloves on.
Yeah, and that's definitely been the nice part about it. It's really nice to not even have to deal with this like strap. Like, it's so much nicer. It's a really smart just webbing design for everything. It's really smart.
Mm-hmm.
There's kind of like that weird thing though, because you can kind of pull one side longer than the other.
Yeah.
That's like the only kind of weird thing about it. But other than that, like, it's a great system. I would be curious to see though, with more use, if that little metal thing, if it accidentally was like too loose, if you didn't get it super tight, I wonder if it would like sneak through. I don't think so, because whenever we've gotten it locked down, it is locked down, like you said. Like, it's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty dang secure, which is super nice.
And it's easy to tuck in the tail as well. Like,
yeah. I mean, even with the tail having that little clip, I mean, you have like,
mm-hmm.
I mean, this is stock, not
exactly.
we haven't cut any of the webbing. And even with your boot and my boot, you don't have much tail, which is so nice.
Yeah. It's been a really good crampon. It's kind of like, you can't mess it up, really. It's going to be pretty good for everyone.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't be, like you said, as nice, like descending down or what have you, but it's going to be pretty good for almost everything you're doing.
Yeah.
My only issue is just that long side points, but even that, with more practice and adjusting to it, I don't think it will be as big of an issue as it felt that one day.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see, like, in future iterations of the Demon Crampon, if they were able to like change things, like maybe having a front set of holes for your front points. I think that would do. If they were just slightly more offset with the front, like if you could put them a little bit farther up,
it would fix the heel spur.
It would fix everything.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, so they could just, they're really good right now, like you said, and I think they perform good. They ice climb really good. But just, I think they'll take time to get used to, but that's kind of with every crampon. Every crampon kind of has their quirks about that. You just have to get used to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think for Edelrid's kind of first really aggressive ice climbing and mixed climbing crampon, they did a pretty good job.
Absolutely.
I mean, and if it is, like, if the front points are a little bit too long and all it takes is either more use or like filing them down a little bit, that's an easy modification to do.
Yeah.
That could greatly improve your performance with them.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I know I'm going to keep wearing them for the rest of the season if I can steal them from you at times.
Yeah.
Like, they're a really nice crampon to have, and especially with my smaller boots, I don't have the same issue of like going down things and not having the coverage. So like, I found them to be really nice. I'm excited to get more time ice climbing, because you've had a bit more than I have, but yeah, they're quite lovely.
They are.